Hello again and welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about one nation which I'll be playing very soon in an upcoming multiplayer game, and that is the nation of Tiernanog, the early age kind of Irish elf nation. And we'll be getting to that in a minute. First of all, we have our tip of the day: don't attack an army of illithids with one commander and an army of soulless. That's good to remember. But let's get into our game for today. So first of all, let me talk about the nation. Let's go take a look at this one. So Tiernanog is a nation of elves. In the Dominions game series, an elf is usually any creature that has these traits with it. It has glamour, meaning that it'll have a mirror image of itself. It'll have multiple images which need to be broken. It often has stealth, which means it'll be able to move without being seen. And often it's sacred, or a little bit stronger than other normal creatures as well. So you can see he's got pretty good hit points, a little bit better than a human. Same with his skills are also a little bit better, and his age is a lot higher. Now, this one I'm looking at here, the She Lord, is really the star, the MVP of this nation. He's not anywhere close to a Van from Vanheim, but he's still quite good, and definitely this whole nation is underrated in my opinion. So he's got a few things going for him. He's got Air 2, which means he'll be able to use a lot of things like Mist Form, Cloud Trapeze, and a lot of other very useful air spells much later in the game. He's got 1 point of Nature, which is also okay for casting things like Regeneration, maybe casting Swarm if he's attacking by himself, or a few other kind of useful spells too. And he's also Priest level 2, which is nice to have as well. You can do things like Holy Avenger to protect them a little bit, or Sermon of Courage to boost up your troops. But since most of your troops are also elves, they don't really have that many morale problems. In general, this is a pretty good unit and a great thug. A few other things of note I want to look at here. The main thing about this nation is you really have a split between the high elves, the Tuatha De Danann, and the low elves, the Firbolg. Now these guys, the Firbolg Scout, Firbolg Champion, and a few of these other ones here, like the Militia, the Slinger, these Warriors, these are all your very cheap troops. Now you can see they don't have any of the typical elf traits. They're not glamoured, they're not stealthy, they're not terribly strong compared to normal humans. They do have okay HP and good magic resistance, pretty standard morale. But beyond that, they're not really much better than normal humans. They're a little bit better, but not by a lot. Then you have your elf troops. You have two types of normal units you can recruit. You have the Sheed Warrior, which is a pretty standard recruit anywhere elf. He's got glamour, stealth. These guys are good. They're a little bit pricey, but you can recruit them anywhere and recruit a decent number of them. They got good equipment. They have a javelin and spear. So you can throw tons of these guys in an army and just travel around with decently sized stealthy armies of these elves. And then you have your one sacred recruitable, which is the Tuatha Warrior. Now this guy is definitely a good option to use. I like to use this one a lot, and I really appreciate having something like this with not only a built-in magic weapon, very good skills, great magic resistance, excellent morale. However, you can see he's very expensive. He's cost quite a lot of gold, 40 gold per unit, which is entering the territory of some of your mages. Let me see, this guy's 70, so not that far off. But you can see he's very expensive, needs a lot of resources, a lot of recruitment points, so he's going to suck up a lot of your income if you want to get a lot of these guys. But I think even a few of them with a good bless can really pack a big punch. And then when it comes to your mages, again, you have some of the Firbolg. These are just some generic scout, generic leader. You also have this guy, the Firbolg Druid. And what makes this one different, I think, from other elf nations is he is really cheap. He costs barely anything in gold. He has decent paths. He can have air plus one of these, which is okay. But he's got good research as well. So this gives you a big advantage over other elves where you can have a cheap researcher and still get good research out, even if you are lacking in money because you're recruiting a bunch of these guys. But other things here, we have this champion. This guy's pretty good as well. He's a good leader. He would be a decent thug if he wasn't compared to this guy. This guy riding a horse is just infinitely better. But still, this is good. I recruit these to lead armies of the Tuatha warriors. Now, you also have the Re, but this I end up not really using much. He's very expensive. He requires 2 cap turns, 4 recruitment points. And he's not really that much better than the Seed Lord. He does get an extra random, which is nice, and 10% there too. But honestly, for the price on this guy, I would just rather get your big sorceress, the Tuatha sorceress, who just has higher paths in general, and also the randoms, and just a lot of good stats as well. Much better to get her instead of him. I rarely ever use this one. Maybe if you need a thug with some higher air for some reason, or I don't know, being able to cast some higher level earth nature spells, but I wouldn't bother too much with this. Shield Lord is great. Make a lot of these guys, send them out in raiding parties, and have a lot of fun with this. Tuatha Sorceress is also pretty good. You got big air, you can cast air elementals without any boosters. Decent nature, possibly up to nature 3, which is not bad, but again, for this nation, I tend to really want a lot of nature, and not many options to get higher than nature 3 without boosting or without using some kind of constructed thing like a Thistle Mace. You have a few other standouts here. The Banshee is pretty good. Definitely a lot of magic diversity. This is your most diverse mage. You have air 1, water 1, nature 1, and then you can get another path of either air, water, nature, and maybe earth. So this gives you a lot of options for crafting or site searching and maybe casting certain spells, but not really that great at any of these. Still, they're not bad, and they are sacred, so they can benefit from a bless. But the real MVP of these mages, besides your thug Shield Lord, is the Bal Banshee. Now, this looks very basic. Just air 2, okay research, a little bit pricey, but not too much. Generally, I like to recruit a lot of these ones, and I never find it too expensive compared to everything else. But the real thing is she's an assassin, and obviously has all the normal elf stats like stealth and glamour. And she is an excellent assassin. Not only does she have this life drain attack, which helps her buff herself up a little bit, but having air 2 is great as an assassin. Not only can you air trapeze into the middle of your enemy's territory and start assassinating some commanders, with a few gems, she can start summoning some air elementals and drop them behind the enemy. You can give her something like a handful of acorns to also help her with her assassinations. And really, you want to be making as many of these as possible. These are excellent. And beyond that, you can also stick them in a chorus communion since they are a spellsinger. You can get them to start casting bigger air spells, or even just have one of your bigger mages, maybe like the Tuatha Sorceress cast Storm, and a bunch of these Bal Banshees cast Storm Power, and then suddenly you have a ton of Thunderstrike casters just spamming the enemy, which is really, really hard to deal with for nearly every single nation in this game. Air is really overpowered, and having a good, fairly cheap air mage that can do a lot of things is great for this game. Now, what else can we say about this? Now, we can see a lot of decent things in just here, but there's one other thing I'd like to highlight before we actually get into Pretender God design, and that's one of Tiernanog's summonables. Really, their only summonable, which is the Kushid. This kind of elf dog or fairy dog. Now, you can see he's not that great. He's got a good strength and attack skill, but beyond that, he's not really got that much going for him. He's not stealthy. He's not glamored, so if you stick him with your elves, you're not going to be able to sneak around like you normally do. But he is sacred, and this is a big deal in this case, at least in terms of my thinking. And we'll see why in a minute. So let's get into the Pretender design. And what I'm thinking of for my Pretender is trying to make use of not only my units, my decent thugs, and the Tuatha warriors, but also trying to make use of my summonable, kind of spammable sacred dogs. And what I'm thinking of, I have two kind of competing ideas which I'm going for. I'm going to be using one of the Dominion 1 gods. In one case, let me try out the one I'm currently testing, which is the Archdruid. And I'm going for something like this. Let's get 7 nature for regeneration. I'm going to go 5 blood for blood bond. Then I'm just going to pick up 4 death for undying. And then I have a little bit of points left. Sorry, let me get my scales. Something like this is okay. I won't be taking him dormant, just to get a few extra points. Boost that up a bit. And I will also be taking fire. You don't have any fire access as Tiernanog, so I thought throw this in. I don't know if it's that helpful. Maybe something like earth might be better. I could do something like that. Definitely you like to have earth a lot as Tiernanog. So maybe even something like this could be an option. Maybe strength of the earth and then mountain survival, just why not? And that leaves me with 1 design point left, but this could be a decent option. What I actually chose for my god, which I'm using in the test game, is fire with attack skill and superior morale, just to help me a little bit in the first few turns when he hasn't awoken yet, because I won't get these 2 incarnate blesses until he wakes up. So that gives me maybe 12, 13 to 15 turns where I only have a few skills here. So getting attack skills nice. It really helps out some of my units with spears. These guys with the golden spear, and then these guys also with a golden spear. Gives them a little bit of a repel boost, and that helps them survive a bit. But maybe a good option as well could be going a little bit of earth, just to boost yourself up and help you later in the game. Fire is not that useful as a path, but you know, it's fine. I can also summon some devils and things like that, so maybe that could be useful. Either way, this is what I went with currently. However, there's a few other options that could work. So my idea with this is getting regeneration and blood bond. These 2 work together really well. Blood bond lets you pass damage to other sacreds nearby, and regeneration obviously lets you regenerate your health. The 4 times undying just gives them a little bit more staying power, and the regeneration will help hopefully pull them out of the undying stage before they actually die. So these 3 work together quite well, and the extra little bit of fire is just something on top. You could even get rid of this totally and take something like, I don't know, maybe a little bit of magic skill. I went 0 with that for now. However, another pretender design I was considering was something a bit more blood focused. Let's get rid of him here. I'm going with the Freak Lord because it's the cheapest blood pretender you can get. And I'm going to go with a big blood vengeance, along with Berserker. Now this, I haven't really tested this yet, but in my own thinking, I think this could be useful, especially considering the summonable sacred dogs you get. I imagine summoning tons of these, plus your other sacreds you can recruit, and just spamming them at the enemy. It would really make their casters have a hard time later in the game. Consider a mage casting a big battlefield wipe spell like Earthquake and hitting tons and tons of your little dogs. That would suddenly kill the mage very quickly, because this blood vengeance power sends the same damage you get back to the person who damaged you. So this really punishes enemy mages. So this could be great late game. However, that does leave me with a little bit of points extra. Again, I maybe go with death. 4 times undying again. This could be good, but it doesn't really give me much benefit in the early game. Once Berserker and Blood Vengeance come on, then my Sacreds will be really killy and have a lot of staying power. But with just Undying 4, they don't really have much. However, your units are all pretty good, so I think they could manage this. And going Death Blood also gives me access to vampires later in the game, which is always good. So this could be something you consider as well. I would maybe try to go with this one as an option, but I'm really considering between this and the one I showed previously. But let's take a look at a current test game I'm playing. So you see, I recently had my god wake up. The turn before, my god woke up And I actually had a battle in this province against a throne. You could see against nearly 100 barbarians, and my troops absolutely massacred them. I have a handful of mercenary pikemen, the Sheed warriors, which are the recruit anywhere elves, and then the Tuatha warriors, which are my capital only elves. And you can see they really did a lot of work. Now this is using the Blood Bond Bless as well as regeneration, and then the attack bonus and the Undying. So let's take a look at this battle for a minute. Okay, let's take a look at the Bless there. You can see Morale +2, Attack Skill +2, Undying +8, Regeneration, and Blood Bond. So let's take a look at this battle. I'm going to speed up a little bit. These guys are going to go ahead. This guy's going to run around and hit them in the back. Now, barbarians have a real hard time against elves because they don't have magic weapons and they have a really hard time popping that glamour. You can see they do get a few of them, especially these Sheed warriors, but really, really difficult time dealing with this little pack here. And you can see they're going to start running. Handful of these guys really, really clean up. You can see them regenerating here. These guys are going to take them all out. And that's the end there. So not bad. That was a throne cleared out, which benefits me a lot. But you can see this game, this is the game I played with my regeneration and Blood Bond Vest. I did not have that great of an expansion. Now, there are only 4 other players in this game. It's turn 15. I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 provinces. So barely 1 province per turn. I've had some bad luck in a few expansion options. And the main thing is it's very slow to recruit. I don't have that many resources and recruitment points. I get a couple of these and already my resources are gone. So 5 of these guys, and I have nothing left to afford anything else. Let's get maybe these guys and 1 more Sheed Lord. Don't have anything to really get much else. And I do want to keep them stealthy, so I'm pretty limited in what I can do with this. But this is how it's been so far. I haven't reached the point where I can summon the Kushids. What my goal is for both options, playing this version with the Regeneration and Blood Bond, or playing the other version with the Blood Vengeance and Berserker, is I really want to first get to Alteration 5. I should be able to get that fairly soon. You can see my god, Perfect Ultra Instinct Ulsterman, has woken up. I have him researching, even though I could get him blood hunting, but I think it's not really useful right now. And you can see my Bless here, Blood Bond and Regeneration. I have him researching now to hopefully get me up to Alteration 5. At Alt 5, I can cast Mother Oak, which will give me a lot of Nature Gem income. And the reason I want that Nature Gem income is, again, because of these. Contact Kushid. So 6 Nature Gems, I can get 7 dogs. And if I can spam these enough, get a couple Nature 2s spamming these out, I can have a lot of these sacred dogs running around and causing trouble. So in both cases, I really want to get first Mother Oak, and then second, get those dogs being pumped out. So get to Conjuration 3 and start contacting my elf dogs. I'm not too impressed by this Regeneration Blood Bond game so far. I'm considering in the actual game, I will go with the Blood Vengeance and Berserker Bless. But I'll update that a little bit later once the game actually begins. So far, we've not started yet. But just to give you a quick intro on what I'm planning, there it is, and I'll update again a little bit later.
Okay, so here's another test game I was running, again with Tiernanog, but slightly different Bless. Instead of going for the Blood Bond and Regeneration Bless, I went with a Berserker and Blood Vengeance Bless. And I'll show you the map in a second. I had a much better expansion in this game, again versus AI, so that's always a given, but I also believe this is due to the map being a little bit better in terms of the ease of expansion, but still, we had quite a few battles here. Most of these were just against a few minor forces. I did quite well against some of these. We can take a look at this battle, for example. This shows a little bit of my strategy growing out, though you can see I only have a few units here. These are the Kushid, the sacred summonable dogs. One cast of the spell summons about 7 of these. So I can have quite a few of my Nature 2 mages summoning a good number of these ones. The problem is you can see they die very easily. They're not that strong. They have a decent amount of hit points, not too much protection, but they're quite strong and they're quite good attack skill. And even though this is a small number of units, they do quite well in the battle. Let's take a look here. Here's my commander, the She Lord, as well. So he blesses the dogs, and you can see their blessing. They have Blood Vengeance and Berserker, plus Undying 8. So let's see how they handle it. And you can see they handle things quite well. The problem is they also tend to die very easily. So they do have that problem with them. They do clear up units really, really well. In another battle, I've used a big group of these dogs, and they tore up a huge number of the enemy's units. However, almost all of them also end up dying. So kind of good and bad with that. The good thing is these are quite cheap, especially since I have Mother Oak up, so I get quite a lot of nature gems per turn. Most of these battles are pretty similar, just attacking here. Here's another good example of why the Bao Banshee are very, very useful. I had a sieging force from on this building. I don't really have many units here, just a couple of the Shield Warrior, but all my Bao Banshee are going to cast, first of all, Storm Power, and one of them is casting Storm, and then they're going to start spamming, see Storm Power up here, and then in a second they're all going to start spamming Thunder Strikes. And you can see right there in a second, Lightning Bolt, Thunder Strike. So I think the range is a bit of an issue here. Casting Thunderbolt instead of Lightning Strike, and you can see now they're starting just to cast Phantasmal Warrior, and a few of them are casting Swarm as well. But this will clear these up really easily. Not too many units here anyways, but, you know, not too bad. Still, I would have preferred if they could spam Thunderbolts instead of just spamming the Lightning Bolt. Either way, let's get out of here. And a few other battles here. Not much going on. I have lost a few forces in some places. Where did I lose some? Here. I got a few of these little armies from wandering around. I need to go after them and take them out. So let's take a look at the map. I had a pretty decent expansion. I have lost a few outlying provinces to at the moment. But again, versus AI, there's not really much they can do. Beyond that, I've done quite well. My income's okay. I got quite a good nature gem income. I haven't been site searching much. I think in a multiplayer game I would definitely be site searching a lot more. So maybe my research would suffer a little bit more, but still my nature gem income is quite good. I have lots of these nature 2 mages. I can set a bunch of these to summon the Kushids and really spam them a lot. Here's my god, Final Ultimate Ulsterman. You can see Blood 8, Nature 5, Death 4, and just 1 Fire just I threw in there for some diversity. Now he's okay researcher. I wouldn't use him in any battle. I've been having him research just so I can get to my research goals, which so far have been Conjuration 5, as well as Evocation 5 and Alt 5. Alt 5 specifically for the Mother Oak, which I've already cast, as you can see here. Beyond that, he could also be useful for blood hunting, get a little bit of blood diversity, but not much else besides that. So, judging from this game compared to the previous test I've did, I think I will be going with this when it comes to my multiplayer game upcoming soon. That game will be starting probably tomorrow, so I'll update with my first turn and some strategy ideas I have in that game. But beyond that, I think I'm going to go with this. This is pretty fun. Maybe not optimal, but I really, really like the idea of the dogs, the dog spam, and having the blood vengeance on these. Here's a big army of these dogs here. I'm going to send these guys in soon. Maybe we can take a look at how they handle things. I don't know if I have any other armies with a lot of dogs in them. Let's take a look. Does this guy have any? He's got a few. Looks like I'm not going to be facing too many at the moment with the dogs. Only a couple armies actually have them on. They tend to die very easily, so that's also a big problem. These guys are all going to summon air elementals and just destroy anyone they touch. But I guess I'll end this turn. Let's take a look at one more turn, take a look at a couple more battles, and then I'm going to end the video here. Alright, so got a few levels in blood magic. My research is very high. I've definitely not site searched as much, but my research is quite good. I'm already at blood 4, so that's quite nice. Can get a few things if I actually had any blood income. Okay, taken province. Beaten by the defending forces, so not too great here. He had quite a big army here, so too bad about that. Let's see here. Yeah, just beating some province defense. Again, taking out a little bit of province defense. You can see the dogs, even though they kill quite a lot, 19 kills. Still a lot of deaths. All of the dogs died. Let's take a look at this battle here, actually. I want to see what exactly happened. Why they got so many kills? I guess they've been casting maybe summon, maybe skill spam. Oh, swarm, okay. So basically these dogs just ripped apart all these bugs, and that's where a lot of these kills came from. But you know, I mean, take it or leave it, I guess. The dogs do a good job at killing things, even if they also do a good job at dying as well, but I think it's pretty fun. This is a pretty fun strategy, so I think I'm going to go for this. Doing optimal strategies isn't always that interesting, so something a little bit more funny is kind of nice. Defeated the attacking force. Okay, this is my Balbanshi kind of swarm, so let's take a look at this one. What happened here? Alright, these guys attacking. Yeah, the air elementals just crush this. So, yeah, there they go. All gone. That's why I love air nations. Air nations are amazing. Alright, so not much going on. Any other provinces nearby to fight? Looks like not much going on here. Probably move these guys in somewhere. Move these guys in here. Maybe fight a little battle with these. I don't think they're going to be able to handle that. 50 units. That's quite a lot. I'm actually going to move these guys back. Move these guys forward and keep these guys here. What does this guy have? What can he take? Maybe send him in here. Oh, also one thing, remember to set attack move and not just move, because I've had that problem many, many times where I just move and forget I'm not actually attacking. Okay, what is going on here? Definitely need to deal with this stuff up here. It's another army in. But I think this is about done for the test game. I'm not going to bother too much for chasing around these AIs. Not really worth it, but in general I think this has been pretty successful. My research is very, very high. I get through a lot of these research levels pretty quickly. What I would like to do next, again, get my blood magic up to blood 7, start summoning some vampires, and get a little bit of a blood economy going. Then probably go for thaumaturgy to get some of the search spells, though I think, and again, in the multiplayer game, I would just have some of these banshees outside searching. But you know what? I think that's going to be the end of the game now. I'll update again once I start the multiplayer game, and I'll see you next time. So, goodbye.